Today we'll be demonstrating the Magnum 3005 hot air station and soldering iron. We've unpacked the unit and we've switched it on. Now to start off with, that's the on-off switch, and the soldering iron LED is on. So basically we'll start with the soldering iron, which is very basic. The soldering iron you can switch off and on. Then you go, it has presets. At the moment it's setting itself to the first preset, which is 320 degrees. It'll climb up to 320 and it will stay there. That is a basic soldering temperature for smaller components. Now before I change it, I'll let it reach 320 degrees. Okay, now for larger units, we have preset it for 380. We press it again, it goes to 380 and it will start climbing to 380. I advise people that are using lead-free solder not to solder higher than 380 because it can discolor tips and it can also give you a very poor solder joint. The final setting on the soldering iron can, for those people who know what they're doing, can be fully adjustable. So you can go up to 450 degrees on fully adjustable by adjusting this knob. By turning it, you can reach 450 degrees. Now, finally, the next step, if you didn't need a soldering iron, then you can press it again, it'll go off. So the rest of the unit will work, but the soldering iron itself will go off. Now we'll discuss the hot air. By pressing the temperature of the hot air button, it also has presets. In fact, I'm going to start with the first preset, which is, it's printed there, remove. When you need to remove a part, we've worked out that the temperature at the temperature is the ideal temperature to remove a part is 450 degrees and the airflow of 70%, which is ideal to remove a surface mount component. Once it gets to 450, it'll stay there. You can't change the airflow and you can't change the temperature because it's preset for those temperatures and that airflow. Okay, now if I press it again, it'll jump to replace, which means the situation, the ideal replacement temperature would be 400 degrees with an airflow of 40, which we have worked out that you don't want to blow components all over the board while you're replacing a component. So now, with a unit like this, because we're trying to save the element, you cannot switch the air off completely. If I turn the air button off, there's still a small amount of air flowing because we are trying to keep the element and the sensor working at a very low temperature, but we don't want the element to blow or run away and get too hot. So we're switching the air back on to the replaced value, which is 400 degrees and 40% air. You go back, it's 400 degrees with 40% air. Now, these values you cannot change. So, for those of you who actually know how to remove and replace surface mount components, there is another adjustment that you can go to fully adjustable, and there you can set the temperature you want up to 380, 480, and whatever airflow you want up to 100%. The same thing applies. You cannot switch off the air completely. If I turn the switch off, there's still a small amount of air coming through. And 480 degrees it'll go to 480 degrees, so it allows people that know what they're doing to set to whatever they want or whatever they need. That's basically all you need to know about removing and replacing surface mount components and resoldering the components on a PC board. Now, we're going to demonstrate removing a component using this unit. But I'm going to put it onto remove by pressing. It also has a function to switch it off if you don't need it. I switch it on to remove and allow everything to settle down, and we will start demonstrating what comes in the kit and removing a component. Alright, this is the kit. The kit comes with a knife with a blade, which you can insert a stainless steel blade into the knife if you need a thinner blade. And it also has a tweezer, extra 2 nozzles, a flat one and a 6mm nozzle. It has stainless steel wire and it has solder wick as well. For once you remove the board, the component, you can clean it up with solder wick. Now, what I'm going to use is a little stainless steel fork. It has a tiny little fork because I have a small quad back here with J legs. No, I'm lying. These are not J legs. These are open type legs that I'm taking the fork and I'm inserting it under the legs of this component. I'm feeding it through and I'm spring loading it slightly because this is spring wire. Okay, then I'm using the air and I'm going around, heating it up. And the component is just been removed. Now, that's what the solder wick is for. If the pad needs to be cleaned, you use the solder wick that can go over the pads and clean it up if you need to replace it with a new part. I haven't spent enough time cleaning. If you need to replace the part, if you've got a new part, we provided you with flux. This is a flux pen with brush on it. You apply the flux. You take the component. You use the tweezer to place it in. Unfortunately, the part is so small, you might have to use a magnifying glass, and you use that to reflow the part back. Oh, sorry, I've forgotten. I have to press it to replace. Now, it has to go to 400 degrees, and it reduced the air. If you press the airflow button, it tells you what it's set for. It's set for 40. So it goes 440. So I can hold it there, and then I can reflow the parts. If one requires more solder, we have a solder dispenser that you can dispense solder paste onto the legs and reflow it that way. If you need, if there's other parts that are a little bit more difficult, more complex to remove, then you can use the stainless steel wire. I could have used the stainless steel wire to remove that IC as well by feeding it underneath the legs and pulling it through. Now, I could try. This is a little bit tight here, the stainless steel wire. I can't seem to be able to feed it. Yeah, there it goes. Okay, then you take the tweezer. I've now hooked it the wrong place. If you take the stainless steel, it's hooked underneath the crystal, and you pull it at 90 degrees to the component, and you put hot air. You change it to remove. Okay. You wait till it gets up to temperature. Okay. I've fed the wire under these legs, stainless steel wire, and I've attached it to the edge of the PC board, taken it at 90 degrees to the component legs, and as see, it came off in 2 seconds. As I was heating up the legs, the stainless steel wire went underneath the leg and lifted that side. So if you wanted to do the other side, the same thing would apply. But sometimes it's easier, because it's a small component, it's easier just to put your tweezer or the knife and remove it. Tweezer or knife. Everybody has his own way of removing and replacing parts. See, it's now removed. So it's not difficult to take any part off the board, as long as you use the unit in the correct fashion. But you don't have to use the presets. You can do fully adjustable and play with the air and the heat. We can remove small resistors in a couple of seconds. So that's a small resistors. And if you need to remove other components, then you've got to look at using the tweezer. See, those are different parts. This is a little plug. There's diodes there, can be removed. I hope it cleared up everything one needs to know about removing surface mount components.